All right, here comes another Trump surrogate that's going to try to slip this under the rug, he's going to be opposed by a CNN commentator regarding Trump basically just coming out from under the sheet and issuing dog whistles to the various white supremacist groups.
With me now to talk about this, Jeffrey Lord, who's a Trump supporter, and Tara Setmeyer, a CNN political commentator. Welcome to both of you.
Happy day after 4th of July, Carol.
Happy day after 4th of July. Right back at you, Jeffrey, and hello, Tara. Jeffrey, I want to start with you. We were just talking about Mr. Trump's social media director. He has taken the fall for Mr. Trump. He said he lifted the image from an anti-Hillary Twitter user. Is he unable to design his own images?
Carol, I have to confess, I'm not a social media type. What I know about Dan Scavino, whom I do not know personally, he's a great guy, but clearly he's made a mistake here. But let me just say something about this sheriff's badge thing. When I saw this, without knowing the controversy, that is exactly what I thought it was a sheriff's badge. I grew up in an era when the six-pointed star was used on television in a popular TV series as the sheriff's badge. That was the first association I made of it. So I think there's a bit of a cultural difference here. And I might add, on the Democratic side, they play fast and loose with racism and anti-Semitism.
All right, let's stop that right there. I grew up in the same era that Mr. Lord grew up in. And anytime I basically saw that image, I did not see a police badge. I saw a Star of David. And I'm from New York, so is Trump. So that's a bunch of crap as far as when he saw it. And again, let me back up. Maybe he recognized that as a police badge. But I pretty much guarantee you, if you went out on the streets of New York, where Donald Trump is from, and you showed that particular image and asked them what that was, the majority of the people there, and again, that's where Trump is from, the majority of the people there would recognize that as a Star of David.
The time, right this minute, they're dealing with anti-Israel delegates on the platform committee. So, I mean, that's where this problem really comes, and I think that's what's really serious.
But Jeffrey,
yes,
clearly the Trump people thought it was a problem where they would not have changed the image.
Yeah,
it was really a six-pointed sheriff's star. It should still be there, but frankly, it's not. They changed it to the circle. I suppose that's sort of admitting it's a problem. But really, isn't the deeper problem, Jeffrey, is his social media director is a former caddy and doesn't quite know what he's doing? Could that be the problem?
Carol, look. Everybody deserves a chance in life. Everybody has different jobs. Everybody was once somebody. I was a bellboy, for heaven's sakes.
This is a presidential race, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, did you feel the same way about
Carol, they've gotten Donald Trump to this point. I mean, all these other candidates with all the money and all the social media experience in the world are not going to be the presidential nominee. There's something going on here that's working.
Tara, you were saying?
Yeah, I just can't. You know, when I heard this sheriff star nonsense yesterday, that this was the excuse, I looked at my husband, who is a federal law enforcement officer, by the way, who was very offended by the implication that a sheriff star was what this was instead of the Star of David. For the first thing he said when he looked at that was, a sheriff star has points on it. So, I mean, anyone who knows anything about the different things, yeah, most of them they are. Yes, come on, give me a break, Jeffrey, just stop it. This is one of the nonsense excuses that this campaign is using to make up for their incompetence and for the fact that they are running an amateur-hour presidential campaign. Every single week, you and other supporters have to come on cable news and make excuses for Donald Trump and his behavior only. It's not the media's fault. It's not anybody else's fault but Donald Trump's. Why would you use a sheriff star to insult an opponent? That's an honorable symbol. When you're trying to do something that's dishonorable,
the law is coming after
sense. Why put it over money?
Because the law is coming after her on a weekend when she's being investigated by the FBI for a investigation. That's why.
Let me just.
Okay, if you wanted to try to use that, okay, then what's the deal with all of the $100 bills in the background, all right? Because the Department of Justice, or FBI, is basically looking at, in my opinion, criminal liability here. They're not looking at Hillary Clinton for, I guess, taking money because her email server was, quote unquote, not following the rules. Money has nothing to do with this. So what was the money background? In my experience, Jews and money basically have always been tied together. That's just the way that it is. I'm sorry. So when they put Hillary Clinton with a background of a bunch of $100 bills, okay, which would have been symbolizing, I guess, the fact that she's taking money all over the place, and then put a Jewish star up there, they're trying to tie the Jewish people to money to Hillary Clinton. Corruption. Corruption normally deals with money, not necessarily national security.
Interrupt you too.
The person couldn't come up with.
Let me interrupt you too, because Jeffrey, you bring up Hillary Clinton being, interrogated by the FBI for 3.5 hours. But because of this mistake, because of this tweet, the attention is diverted away from that. Because of this social media director who has taken the fall for Mr. Trump, we're not talking about that.
But Carol, the Clinton campaign wants to divert the attention, and
The Anti-Defamation League diverted the attention.
But I mean, if we're talking a misplaced tweet or being investigated for criminal actions by the director of the FBI himself, hello, and the first presidential nominee ever to be in that situation, I mean, I think we're talking things that are just a little out of proportion here in terms of coverage.
This is not the first time, though, Jeff. Come on. If this had been a one-off, then maybe you could excuse it away. But this is not the first, second, third, or fourth time that Donald Trump has gotten in trouble for retweeting things from white supremacist websites or memes.
Is he being investigated by the FBI, Tara?
No,
yes or no?
Look. Why do we
That's
have
the problem.
That's got nothing to do with it. See, that's what happens with the people when they're losing an argument. They try to change the subject. The subject is Donald Trump tweeting out something that is racist, not Hillary Clinton. He's trying to move the subject over to the Hillary Clinton investigation. That's not what we're discussing here. That should be done in a separate forum.
Yes, it's a problem. I don't disagree. But we are, at least as a conservative and as someone who worked for Ronald Reagan like yourself, you should think we are held to a higher standard. We're supposed to be better than them. So why do you continue to support someone that keeps dragging this campaign into the mud in a way that is an embarrassment to the conservative movement? Ronald Reagan, you always have to hang behind you. Yes, he did. He retweeted from a white supremacist meme. This is not the first time. What about when he retweeted? Wait a minute. What about when he retweeted from someone named White Genocide TM? Not once, but twice. You're telling me that Donald Trump didn't recognize that name? What about all the times of seeing the disgusting things on social media coming from Trump people, from people like myself?
Why don't you ever
not usable.
Okay, I think I'm going to end the battle.
Yeah, so Jeffrey Lord is doing what all of the other Trumps have been doing. Number one, no apology. Number two, they always try to shift the subject back. If Trump hadn't put out that tweet, he could have been all over Hillary Clinton as far as the FBI investigation was concerned. But to most people, this particular subject matter of Trump tweeting out stuff from white supremacist groups, to them, and to me, to be honest with you, is more important as far as determining the character of the man. The FBI investigation is going to become finalized at some point in time, probably shortly. There will be a resolution on that. What kind of a resolution is there going to be as far as Trump's character and the fact that he's dog whistling all of these white supremacist groups who have in turn issued statements in support of Donald Trump, and even giving him cover by saying they know that he can't come out in plain English and say that he supports them, and they understand.